When we talk about supporting our troops in Iraq, it seems to me that they're just in an impossible situation, just like the troops were in Vietnam. When you're fighting an insurgency, you can't tell who is enemy and who is friend until somebody shoots at you. And then those that have shot at you retreat among civilians. And what is a soldier supposed to do in that situation? I feel so sorry for these young men and women who have been placed in this position over in Iraq, and that we expect them to know who the enemy is. What do you think about that, Mark?
Well, you know, to me, it's disgraceful, and I think that generations from now, Americans will look back at this time and they'll say the one reason that you can't fight this kind of war is that there is no win. Nobody's, even the Crips and the Bloods wear different color hats. Imagine as an American, if somebody were shooting at you, what would it take for you to run to a kindergarten and hide yourself among the children? I don't know of an American that could bring themselves to do that, but that's exactly what has happened time and time again. The first fallback strategic position in the Middle East is to run to civilian populated areas, specifically where there are women and children. Well, we've got to know going in, that's not the military's fault. Our response has to be going in. You fight this kind of war, it's going to be dirty. It's going to be terribly, terribly dirty. But you can't take some poor kid that's 20 years old, that's trying to do the right thing, that's putting his life in harm's way, and then prosecute him for accidentally shooting the wrong person. First of all, he's an American. He's going to live with that for the rest of his life. But second of all, you just can't do it. He's not there to check Social Security numbers and figure out who's who and what's what. You try and kill him or his friends, and he's going to try and shoot back. That's a right that you got to give him going in. Anything less than that is completely unreasonable. I'll tell you what we haven't heard, and sometimes that's the toughest thing. What we haven't heard is we haven't heard President Bush say, you know what, you prosecute that kid successfully, you try to send him to prison, and I'll get him out tomorrow. But we don't hear that because no, that might not be politically correct.
Yeah, and I mean, this impossible situation our young men and women find themselves in, ironically, it is such a great recruiting tool for Al-Qaeda, because that's the plan, you know? You have someone fire shots at American soldiers, then you ensconce yourself in a civilian population, and then when civilians are accidentally killed as part of that firefight, then you show this on TV, and you have all these films of this. In fact, several suicide bombers who were captured, they said that's how they were recruited. They were shown films one after the other of civilians being killed by Americans, okay, and that's the recruiting tool. Iraq is something that Osama bin Laden could have never done on his own. He couldn't have done that without George Bush. But that's his dream, and that has been his primary recruiting tool. We have so many more terrorists now that want to kill us because we are in Iraq. I mean, everybody knew that there would be a certain number of civilians killed when we went after Al-Qaeda. You know, we had to go to Afghanistan. There's going to be a certain fringe amount of people that are going to get killed. But the world, after witnessing 9/11, was willing to give us some latitude. Well, we have used all that up and way beyond that now. Now they don't want to give us any latitude, which is really going to hurt us in the war on terror in future years.